$600,000 to $700,000 a year.
$500,000 a year. Okay.
You can work on cruise ships. You can work for the Department of Defense. You can work at an Indian health hospital. You can travel. You can open your own clinic. You can open your own business. There are so many opportunities if you hold the license and you speak English.
Great
Yeah,
experience.
it's a fantastic experience.
Добрый день, дорогие друзья! Смотрите подкаст «Хорошо там, где мы есть». С нами сегодня прилетела прямо из Америки Шеннон Уильямс, доктор хирургии, общей хирургии, которая расскажет вам, как начать карьеру в Америке и что мы можем для вас сделать в этом направлении. Hello, Shannon. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Shannon, watch us, the doctors from. We are now in the position with our companies. Then in Poland, we know already. I think already every hospitals know about our companies. That's what we do here in Poland with Belarusian doctors. We're gonna try with you to start doing the same job in America. Yeah.
I think this is fantastic timing on your part, looking to expand. So if you're looking to expand, I think now there's no better time than the United States. Now there are at least 15 individual states which are in the process of passing legislation or have already passed legislation that will greatly reduce the barriers to international physicians being able to practice in the United States. So it's fantastic timing on your part.
Okay. Shannon, let's talk about how you have chosen to become a doctor, how you have started your career, how many years you have working in surgery, and let's talk a little bit about how the hospitals working in United States, in your states, Tennessee. First, how you have choosing to be a doctor and how you have learning to become surgery.
My decision to become a physician was a bit later in life than is typical. My initial education was a bachelor's degree, a 4-year degree in biology. I then followed that with a 3-year degree, which is a master's degree in the United States in microbiology, molecular biology. This is something that fascinated me greatly, still fascinates me. I suppose I'm a very detail-oriented person, and so this was a natural for me. However, once I had the degree in hand, I realized that working in a laboratory did not make me happy. And so at this point, I transitioned toward the medical field. And I like to work with my hands. I like to repair things. And so I said, aha, I will become a physician. And almost certainly from the beginning, I wanted to become a physician, a physician surgeon, I should say. So after my 3-year degree in microbiology, I completed 4 years of medical school at the University of Tennessee, which is in Memphis, Tennessee. That's my home state. After this, I completed a 5-year surgical residency at the same institution.
You have just told, and you have made 3 years of masters of microbiology, but if you want to make faster your way to become a doctor, you cannot do that. You can 3 years make.
This is correct. The master's degree is absolutely not a requirement. The typical pathway is for the student to complete the 4-year biology degree, bachelor's degree. It can be in any field at all, whether it's business, economics, marketing. After this, then you apply and proceed with typically 4 years of medical school. There are a limited number of universities in the country which offer an even shorter program, which combines roughly 2 years of a bachelor's degree with 4 years of medical school. So it's typically a 6-year program.
Okay. And after that, you choose to make your residence. And in which hospital you have done it?
So my residency, which is our medical training after medical school, that's our term for it, is a residency, was completed within, I believe, 6 different hospitals in the Memphis area. So I was still in Memphis, Tennessee here, and we would rotate. We would have an assignment in one hospital, we would complete that, and then we would move on to
Mhm.
another one. So
Okay. After these 5 years of residence, you have to make exams. I think it's the same like here in Poland. You have egzamin specjalizacyjny, the most difficult exams in medicine, always.
yes, and I can't definitely speak to the other specialties like general medicine or emergency medicine, but in surgery, we have a written exam,
Mhm.
and then if you achieve a satisfactory score on that, then you proceed to a verbal exam or an oral exam, which is
Mhm. And you are not from family doctors.
no.
You didn't choose medicine.
I wanted to become a doctor. There were no
Uh,
medical professionals in my family.
okay.
Yeah.
But you are married with heart surgery, cardiotar. Okay.
I'll take it from here.
Yeah.
So I was married at the time to a cardiothoracic surgeon. He was
Mhm.
finishing his fellowship, which is the advanced training after residency if you want to further
Mhm.
specialize. So cardiothoracic.
You told me then you get married in
Hmm.
your residence,
Hmm.
and on the last year you have your first kids.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and you have done it in your residence. Does mean
In
you
the
you
residency.
didn't stopped?
No,
No.
no, it's entirely possible to start a family in residency. Many of my colleagues,
Mhm.
who were predominantly male, most of the surgery residents
Mhm.
were male at that time and probably still are, absolutely common for them to marry, have children, start a family.
It's important because after you start working like a doctor, it's always difficult to find the time to make a family, and sometimes, yeah.
Even more so in these days, they have changed the requirements for how many hours you're allowed to work in residency now. So it's a much gentler system
Okay,
than it was then.
it's changing.
It is changing.
It is changing. It's changing. It's like in Poland, just because of some small changing in the law, we have 300 doctors
Hmm.
in Poland. Yeah.
Hmm.
Let's talk about work now. Okay, we know then your education was like normal, like in Poland. You make your university, then you make your specialty. After these 5 years, you get your exams, and you became uh,
A
surgery,
general surgeon.
general surgery.
Yeah.
There is no problem in United States when you are a woman, which one became surgery.
Absolutely not. Now, to be honest, when I made my announcement in medical school that I wanted to be a surgeon, a fair number of people tried to warn me against it. But I was very fortunate. I experienced no biases, no prejudices from my mentors, my professors, my colleagues. And in fact, I think I was very
Mhm.
fortunate. I had very good, very high quality mentors and instructors.
Most
Yeah.
important, it's a team where you start, there where you start your job. The people
Absolutely.
which learn you the first steps. Yeah,
Absolutely. I feel 100% that I was treated as an equal.
great.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about your experience. Your experience like a doctor's, and where was your first job like surgery, like a general surgery? Where you have started your career? How it was on the beginning? Um, yeah.
So my residency training was very heavy into trauma and critical care, emergency surgeries, things like that. So almost all of my positions have focused on that. But my very first position out of residency was in a city called Erie, Pennsylvania, which is in the northeastern United States. My husband at the time and I both accepted positions at a fairly small community hospital there.
Hmm.
That term was about 3 years, and it was mainly just basic general surgery cases, a little bit of trauma, a lot of laparoscopic surgery with the
Hmm.
camera and the tools.
At this time, you have working in Indians.
While we were in Erie, Pennsylvania, a hospital in a state called South Dakota, which is in the Midwest toward the north, recruited my husband to work there as a cardiothoracic and vascular surgeon, and it was a bit of a package deal. They also needed a general surgeon, luckily, so we accepted positions there. In between those two positions, I took a temporary job. It's called locums, a traveling surgery position at a hospital that's part of the IHS system, which is Indian Health Services, which is basically a standalone individual federal healthcare system for the Native American population. And this was serving the Cherokee tribes in a state called Oklahoma.
Great
Yeah,
experience.
it was fantastic experience. Fantastic experience, yeah.
I'm gonna say something what is maybe not popular, but all my life, my wife, we have thinking about America, like, no, we don't want to go there and this stuff. But more I talk with you about how many opportunities you can get working in United States. So many places, so many different places, so many different climates. It's like
Because of the vast size of the United States, it's impossible to say, oh, I have this idea of America, and it's true
only in this
for
area.
everywhere. Because the northeastern region has a different culture and a different climate than the southeastern region, which has a different climate from the southern region, which has a different climate from the Midwest, which has a different atmosphere culturally and from a climate to the West Coast, California, etc. And even within one state, even within one city, you find vast differences in maybe, what would you say, infrastructure or amenities and benefits and what the people are like, what the food is like. It's
Yeah.
so different. If you want a big city, there are so many of those to choose from. If you want nature, there's so much nature to choose from. So I think it's impossible to have one idea in your head of America, and that's the way it is everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
I promise to everybody who watch us, then we're gonna make some films in American hospitals in Tennessee. We're gonna work on it to get opportunity for you, like for the doctors, to start your career in United States. And we're gonna talk later about the second hospital where you have working. You have changing from Pennsylvania to
South Dakota.
South Dakota, where you have spending 7 years.
I was there for 7 years, yes.
7 years. 7 years working in South Dakota, like general surgery. And you told me that it was like a city, 80,000 people?
Roughly 80,000, yes.
80,000 people. Let's talk about the job in the city like that, in surgery. What different kind of therapy, what different kind of tools you use to make your job?
Of course, of course. So when I was at the hospital in South Dakota, I functioned primarily as a critical care surgeon, emergency surgery, a great deal of trauma. We were actually a referral center from other smaller hospitals that were in the region. So they would send the complicated cases, the trauma cases to our hospital. We were what's called a level 2 trauma center. So fairly
Level 2 is the better level, or is this how it works?
It's second from the top.
Second from the top.
If something incredibly complicated came through, then we would perhaps send
University
it to
hospitals.
Denver or a university. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So a lot of trauma, a lot of emergency surgeries, a lot of laparoscopic surgeries, and also robotic surgeries. So we had Da Vinci at the hospital.
I know then you have working on Da Vinci and you have learned how to work it at the time on your work. You have a time to learn
Oh,
how
absolutely.
the new technology is working.
Absolutely, absolutely. The Da Vinci machine that was there on site, we would learn by simulations, And then we would also go and take maybe a 1-day trip or a 2-day trip to the Da Vinci Learning Center where we would operate on cadavers. And you had many opportunities to go back and forth. The hospital makes sure that you're able to stay current with your training and learn
Great,
new
great,
techniques.
great.
Mhm. As a matter of fact, they even give you annual stipends, payments that will cover the cost of continuing education. So,
Let's talk about money. Okay. Everybody, I think the doctors, they are very interested how it work. You was employed by hospital,
I was employed, and it's
and
a very common model in the United States to be employed by a
okay,
hospital.
but there is like a 20% of doctors which are not employed. They make their own practice.
I can only speak to my hospital, but when I was last there, I would say that the proportion was approximately 80% employed by the hospital, and then 20% who maintained their own independent business. They worked in the hospital, but they did not have a contract with the hospital.
And you told me as well, then your payment, your salary, at the end of the month is done with two pieces. First, it's like a basic payment, and then
Yes.
second, it's because of how many operation you have done. Yes,
Mhm.
I'm right.
You are correct in that. Now, to back up just a bit, when you sign a contract to work with the hospital, and typical contract lengths are 3 years, sometimes 5 years. It depends on the
Mm-hmm.
situation. You sign the contract, they hand you what's called a signing bonus, which is a check, money for, I believe these days, $20,000 to $40,000. That's there for signing. It's yours immediately
Before you start working.
before you start working. But, however, if you do not fulfill the terms of your contract, then you are required to return this money to the hospital.
Okay,
So,
but in your case, it's like a 2 months of work. Yeah, that's 14,000. When you are employed by hospital, net of taxes, you get to your pockets around $20,000
well,
with some hours and this. Yeah.
yeah, the signing check, the 20 to 40,000 is before taxes. Of course, you'll pay taxes on this.
Okay.
But this is your welcome to the hospital. We're
Okay.
happy you're here.
Okay.
Now, after this, you receive a salary, a
Mm-hmm.
basic salary from the hospital. This varies greatly depending on your specialty, the size of the
Just
hospital,
how
where you
how
work.
how it was in your case, because a lot of doctors which watching us, they are in the
Okay,
same case like we are. You know,
okay.
we
I
we
will
are
give you my situation, and
your
it
situation.
is a
Yeah.
bit different because by the time I took a job here, I had two small children.
Uh-huh.
I was divorced at the time.
Okay.
And so I did not want to spend too much time away from my children. So I had a contract for 50% time, half time,
Half time.
half time.
All right.
So at any rate, so my monthly salary was approximately $20,000 a month. But this was salary plus the working units.
Okay.
So in America, it's very common that you receive a basic salary,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what. You receive a basic salary. Now, on top of that, as an incentive to make sure that you are working and producing, there's a system called RVU, which is basically just work units. If you examine a patient, this earns X number of units. If you operate on a patient, this earns X number of units. And so this adds a bit of money onto your basic salary. Now, also, it's becoming more and more common that if you take call, meaning you are available to take care of patients after hours, and
Mm-hmm.
you receive phone calls for your colleagues so that they can go home and sleep and get rest. It's becoming increasingly common that the hospital will pay you additional money for each of these shifts.
Okay.
It's not always the case, but it is common.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's how it start to working in Poland in the same way. Yeah, we have the same way to pay a doctor as well. Or you can be employed in the hospital, or you can work on your own contracts, and then you negotiate your money with
Yeah.
hospital, and it became similar. Like education, I think is very similar. Like in States, work very similar. What you tell me, I don't see a lot of difference. Only $20,000 in Poland you cannot get. It's 100,000 zloty.
And
It will be like for very good specialists,
Mhm.
like ophthalmology or laryngology. Then you can do this money in your own cabinet. Yeah, if you have your own business, then you can make this money in Poland.
And to be fair, the cost of living in America is greater than in Poland, but proportionally, you are still earning more money as a physician in the
Yes.
United States.
No,
So
$20,000.
just to be completely
Yeah.
transparent.
If you
Yeah.
can make $20,000 and you have 2 children and you are divorced, and you can even in this situation you can make $20,000. Just talk about your husband.
Well, this
Example.
is
Let's talk about money of your how much money get. Example, your husband, how heart surgery.
and he was also employed by the hospital, and I would just estimate, my best recollection, he would earn, I can't break this down by the month, but perhaps $600 to $700,000 a year.
$600,000 a year,
Mhm.
$500,000.
Yes. He was very busy, but this was his salary.
$500,000 a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in Poland, we are very busy as well. I see our doctors, they work 300 hours, and they like with 300 hours in the best money which you can get in Poland, you can get maybe 60,000 zloty. It's like $15,000.
Mhm.
400 hours with good specialty, good hospital, and someone have to be very important in hospital to get $100 an hour. It's very, very hard to get it. Like,
I think it's important to point out that there's also a great deal of flexibility in the employment situations. I was offered the opportunity to only work 50% of a full contract. Now, I frequently would work more. I could take additional on-call shifts for trauma surgery, which would generate extra income when the children were at their
yeah,
at their father's house. And this is absolutely possible. I think that a physician should not have the preconceived notion that if they come to America, there is only one option available to them. You can work part-time, you can work full-time, you can take additional shifts. So there's a great deal of
yeah.
flexibility there. Yeah.
Okay, Shannon, we start to talk about something very interesting for our viewers, and we know then your system in America is quite similarly how in Poland, but I see now opportunity with country with 250 million peoples and so many hospitals, so many opportunities. And if you came from other countries, you are not like with family, or you don't have to stay in one place. You can really choose the place and people where you're going to stay. Um,
You absolutely can. There is such a large population that, as in the rest of the world, it's aging. It's not as healthy as it once was. There is such a shortage of physicians that you can find a position in almost any state or region that you want. So there's huge demand for the recruitment services that companies like yourself can provide.
mhm.
Yeah.
Great. Because of so many opportunity for the doctors which speak English.
Mhm.
Because look, you like American doctors, you can work in Pacific Sea, you can work on Caribbean Sea, you can work in Australia, New Zealand, everywhere.
You can work on cruise ships. You can work for the Department of Defense. You can work at an Indian health hospital. You can travel and have 1 weekend assignments, 1 month assignments, 1 year assignments if you don't want to fully commit to a hospital at any point in time. You can open your own clinic. You can open your own business. There are so many opportunities if you hold the license and you speak English.
I think every doctors which have enough of energy and enough of motivation to become a doctor in America, to start this career, let's just leave application form under this video. We're gonna start to talk about how you, from your position, you can start a career in America. And I will like to talk about the last things. We know then this opportunity about the law in America. We think then it will be like in Poland now. It's mean the first 2 years they're gonna start working like under control of specialists. How you think it's gonna work in reality? How you think it's gonna be in hospital? You think it can become reality? And if the American doctors, they don't gonna make any trouble with that, yeah, because it's gonna be a new law. I know how many energy I have spent in Poland to make understanding different directors of hospitals, then everything will be all right. Don't worry, it's good doctors, you know. I'm sure then we have to make the same work in Tennessee about our doctors. But you told me then there is already some doctors from Eastern Europe. How it works there? How you feel it?
Of course. Now, as I mentioned at the start of our conversation, 15 states in America have either introduced legislation or have passed legislation to greatly reduce the barriers to international physicians coming to practice. Now, it's important for physicians who are outside the United States to realize that every state will have their own requirements. This is not a national requirement. Every state has the freedom to choose their own requirements for international students. We keep mentioning Tennessee, which coincidentally is my home state, but Tennessee was the first state to pass legislation. Now, their legislation, their new laws go into effect, but their state medical board has said this new law might conflict with some existing laws, so we're going to meet again in 1 month. So this is so new that the pathways have not even been created yet, but it's coming. Tennessee, Illinois, Texas, and Florida are leading the way. Each one is a little different. Some, I don't think it's going to be very helpful. It will still be easier than before, but it still, I think, is too much of a barrier. So what I think will happen with competition, because it will be a competition, I would predict that all 50 states will have to change their laws because every state needs physicians badly. And what will happen is a state like Tennessee, which has, in my opinion, fairly easy rules, fairly easy requirements, they will attract more foreign doctors because it's less trouble to get a job there.
Yeah.
Then other states that have more difficult requirements will look and say, oh, Tennessee is attracting more physicians than we are. We are going to have to change our rules so that it becomes a competition that ultimately absolutely benefits the international physician. So,
Shannon, I think for our viewers, most important question is just tell me what requirement is to start work like a doctor in Tennessee.
in Tennessee, and again, it's important to remember that these rules probably won't apply to other states. That remains to be seen. But currently, the state medical board in Tennessee is saying that you need to complete an accredited medical school in another country. You would have your documents certified through a third-party website. That's no problem. That's very common. And in fact, it might already be used in Europe. But Tennessee's requirements specifically are that once you meet these basic requirements and they're satisfied with your documents and you can satisfy the English language requirement, then you take a position at a facility that offers a residency. You are not a resident, you're not in the resident program, but you have to be at a facility that offers a residency program.
Mhm.
You work in this facility for 2 years under supervision. After these 2 years are up and you've satisfactorily completed them and your mentors have said this is a quality physician, they're going to do good work, then the state medical board gives you a full unrestricted license to practice in Tennessee. So basically it's 2 years of supervision at certain facilities in the state. If you complete that in good standing, then you have a full license to practice in Tennessee.
Shannon, this information, if it's gonna work like this in practice, it's
It,
gonna be the best information of the summer.
it remains to
Uh,
be seen whether they will change any of these rules, and so we'll know more
yeah,
about
we
this
have
in
to
about a
we have to
month.
check every
But compared to being required to absolutely complete a residency again, this is fantastic.
This is fantastic.
It's
This is great.
fantastic. Yeah.
It's like in Poland now. In Poland, it's the same way. You're gonna work 2 years, and after this 2 year, you don't have to make like residency.
Mhm.
And if you are specialist, they gonna or make you some specific education, few months,
Mhm.
or they give you just a title of specialist. If it's gonna work like that in practice in United States, it's going to be great news for our doctors, because I see so many possibility to work in the world when you have a title of American doctors. It's something amazing. Our medical director, it's Jarosław Fedorowski. His well is American doctors. That's why we have
I remember you told me this,
yeah,
yes.
we have a lot of contacts there. And I think it's a good time to start working in America.
I think it's a fantastic opportunity. It's perfect timing.
Guys, if you wanna start make your career in Tennessee, in United States of America, let's just call us or leaving a message on our email. I'm gonna be responsible of recruitation, and we're gonna start to prepare the place, working place, and
Yeah, I would say anyone that's interested, then a good thing to start with would be English language skills and perhaps preparation for the exams, which we can discuss at another time, but certainly, yeah.
we have a list of university. We have a list of Belarusian university, which is going to the international list of university, which are what is this list of university which America has in the
There is a third-party verification organization, the ECFMG,
yeah.
and they provide a list of accredited medical schools that they feel teach a curriculum that meets certain standards. So
We know the three of Belarusian university, they are already on the list, like yes, you can work in America, and one of the university, it's half and half, depend of your documents. It's mean Minsk, Vitebsk, and Minsk, Vitebsk, Alex, Minsk, Vitebsk,
Gomel?
no, Gomel,
Gomel.
it's 50-50. Maybe yes, maybe no. This university he is on the list, you remember? But he's on
Yes.
the
It depends, but it's also important to remember there is some flexibility built in.
Hmm.
If your school is not on the list, then sometimes they will review and take circumstances
Okay.
into consideration.
Okay, guys, we're gonna open our branch in United States of America, in
Fantastic.
Tennessee. The same job like we do in Poland, we're gonna make in America. And it's so easy like that.
Fantastic.
Great.
All
Shannon,
right.
thank you very much.
All
It
right.
was
I look
great.
forward to working with you.
Thank you.